Good morning, everyone. It's really great to be here this morning and see so many people coming to participate in this new wave of innovation in the sea. First of all, I would like to commend Ila and the team for organizing this event. I think we first met like a year and a half ago, and Ila had a great dream, and it's coming to reality now. In the next coming minutes, I would like to share with you a little bit about the overall situation of the Israeli high-tech, and in this context also talk about the opportunities that we see in the ocean. Do you see the presentation? Okay, cool. Let's see if it works. First of all, I'm sure most of the audience is aware who is the Innovation Authority, but for those of you from abroad, we are a corporate which is funded by the Israeli government, and our mission in life is to increase the competitiveness of the Israeli Innovation Hub. It's maybe in a first thought, it's a little bit strange to think about competitiveness of the Israeli high-tech, but the situation is that unlike in the past where when startups were established mostly in the Silicon Valley and in Israel, today there are many rising tech hubs in the world. We all compete for the same resources, whether it's venture funds, entrepreneurs, workers, and we also collaborate a lot. But anyhow, we want to make sure that the amazing place that Israel achieved in the last, let's say, 2 decades is maintained and even improved, and this is our mission in life. We fulfill this mission in 2 ways. First way is investing. We invest something like $500 million every year in disruptive innovation. We invest in startups, we invest in the infrastructure for innovation like labs, applied research, human capital, whatever is needed to make sure that Israeli high-tech continues to succeed. We invest where the private sector is under-investing or not investing, meaning places with very high risk, and from that you can also derive why I'm here, because I guess this is an area with higher risk than usual. And the amount of money, the $500 million that we invest every year, is actually making us the largest fund in early stage in Israel. The second way we operate in is facilitating or removing barriers. Since we work with practically most of the industry, just to give you the notion, we get something like 3,000 submissions for grants every year. Overall, there are 9,000 high-tech companies in Israel, which means that those that did not submit this year probably submitted last year or will submit next year. So we are in direct contact with the industry, and therefore we can very quickly identify barriers for growth, whether it's regulation barriers, taxation barriers, or whatever. And then we reach out to the relevant government ministry or agency, and we work out together ways to remove this barrier and to ensure that Israeli high-tech can continue and grow. Many times we talk about the importance of the high-tech to the Israeli economy. I want to show you a single slide with few numbers that will just give you the exact picture of how important the high-tech is for the Israeli government, for the Israeli economy. First of all, 5.6% of the local GDP is reinvested in research and development. This is the highest number in the world. And this is the case, by the way, for a few decades already, that Israel is the place with the highest investment in research and development. 12% of the Israeli working force is working in the high-tech sector. Again, first place in the world. 18% of GDP is coming from the high-tech, first place in the world. For instance, the US, which has even a more developed high-tech scene, the high-tech sector there is contributing only 9% to the overall GDP. In the EU, by the way, it's 5 or 6%. So this gives you a notion of how dependent is the Israeli economy on the high-tech sector. Those 12% of the employees are paying 30% of the income tax. Think about the average salary in the high-tech. And almost half of the Israeli export is derived from the high-tech sector, whether products or services. And again, when you combine all these numbers together, and actually there are a few more numbers that I could have chosen to put on the slide, you understand the importance and how pivotal is innovation to our economy. All in all, we are looking at 9,000 active companies, high-tech companies in Israel. This is the third place in the world after the metropolitan area of the Silicon Valley and after the metropolitan area of New York. About 500 investment organizations and about 400 multinational companies. Most of them arrived to Israel through acquisitions of startups. Few of them also just came in and opened their R&D facility. But for sure, they are contributing a lot to the local ecosystem. Now, one of the challenges we are looking at, going back to our mission about sustaining and improving the competitiveness of the Israeli high-tech, one of the challenges we are looking at is how to make sure that the Israeli high-tech continues to diversify and tackles the big challenges of humanity that will bring high economical value in the future. And you know that Israeli high-tech excels in sectors like cybersecurity and fintech and enterprise software in general. But we believe that the paradigm is shifting, and many of humankind problems are not going to be solved by software. They're going to be solved by tangible products that will bring physical influence to our lives. And the reason we believe so is because when we look upon the numbers, the land is getting more and more crowded. We look upon growth in population from 2020 to 2050, from 7.7 billion people to 9.8. You can see the increase in life expectancy, in population density, the number of cars. GDP is going to double itself by 2050. And when you ask yourself, how are we going to do all of that to provide food, to provide transportation, to provide energy, to provide health services, to increase the quality of life? Many developing countries are growing very fast and the quality of life is improving. How are we going to do all of that while reducing gas emissions and getting to net zero by 2050? This is a phenomenal challenge that we are facing. And this challenge can be solved, you know, humanity, I believe, has a few levers. One is if all people on this planet will decide to change their consumption habits and eat less beef and travel less and fly less, probably not going to happen. The second lever is if regulators across the world will unite and create a new regulation that help us cope with all these challenges, probably also not going to happen given the geopolitical situation. So for me, there is only one real lever that we can use, which is technological innovation. And if we are smart enough as a species to really make breakthrough innovation, we can then hopefully cope with the challenges. And I believe that the Israeli high-tech has a significant role in creating those breakthroughs. And one of the frontiers is for sure the ocean. Many times we look up to the space and say that this is the new frontier, but maybe this is wrong. Maybe first we need to go for the sea frontier or the ocean frontier, because in this frontier there are many things that we can find, and also a lot of technology which is required. We can look at the sea as a source for resources, whether it's natural resources, fossil fuels, like the ones that we have here next to our shores, aquaculture to get our food from the sea, to get our energy from the sea, to get distilled water, and many other resources that we can find in the sea. But the sea also has an environment for ports and shipping, trade, communication, defense, tourism, transportation, and who knows, maybe in the future also place to habitat to live in. or at least to have infrastructure that is usually on the ground to have in the sea. So there are many, many ways in which innovation can leverage the sea, hopefully in a sustainable way. So when I was preparing for this presentation, I asked my team to give me some information. Are we, the Innovation Authority, who is supposed to invest in early stage disruptive innovation, investing in technologies which are related to the sea? And I was quite surprised to see the result of this question. Well, we have invested in the recent years in about 50 companies in different clusters of sea-related technology. About $50 million, and when we invest, typically there is a matching of the private sector, so you should double the number, so it's investments of about $100 million. And this is, you know, in a very early stage area. It was not a particular focus area for us, but since we invest in projects or in startups that have high economical value and have also excellency, they are good at what they are doing, because of only from those two principles we have reached the situation where we invested in quite a lot of companies and quite a lot of money in those areas of blue tech ventures. And this is maybe a good time, especially for this audience, to call for entrepreneurs, for investors, to go in these directions. As I said, all of our programs are competitive, and we don't decide in advance in which areas to invest. But if you come forward with good ventures, good technology, good potential markets, you will get our funding. And we have many programs. You can find everything in our site. We support every single stage from the applied research in the academia through, if you are just an entrepreneur with an idea, you can get from us a grant to develop your idea even before you opened your company. Pre-seed and seed program, growth funds, when you're already reaching the stage that you have to produce tangible products, we can also assist with that. Pilot programs, all of that is available from us to good ventures. And just try us and see what happens. And I hope that in a few years from now, Ilaz and the team dream will be even more realistic, and we will see not tens of companies, but rather hundreds of companies doing amazing things in the sea for the good benefit of humanity. Thank you very much.